Hello and welcome to Code Skwela. In this tutorial, we will be implementing a linked list. So what is a linked list? It is a data structure that allows us to store data in a chain-like manner. So for us to give an idea of what a linked list uh, visually or in visual representation, let's do a quick Google search and see what it actually looks like. So let's start here, linked list. Okay. Things are going slow now. Okay, so now we have pull up the results and then let's just click the images, right? So most of these have the same form, right? So if you could click this one from Geek for Geek, so this is basically what a linked list looks like, okay? So you have this sort of different uh, nodes or items that are connected together, sort of like a chain, okay? So let's just start doing our linked list. Okay, so in a linked list, its basic unit is called a node. So a node stores two things. So first is the data and the next node. So the next node would be like a pointer to your next node in the chain. All right, so next, uh, with linked list we have several basic operations. So those are adding, removing, count, and then traverse. Okay, we will be implementing each of those operations. So first, to start with, uh, we will be creating our class named linked list. Okay, class, then let's call it linked list. Okay, so now we have our start of our linked list class. Okay, so from here we will start building up the operations of our linked list. Okay, so next we will add also a node class. So this would be the basic unit of data for your linked list. This is the class that we will be storing our uh, items in the list. Okay, so let's start with uh, node, named node class, and then we have, right, remember earlier that it will, our linked list or our node would store two things, the data and then the next, that would, or a pointer to the next node in your chain. Okay, so with this one we will be storing integer data so as to simplify our example, okay, for this tutorial. So we have a public of type int and then just name it value, and then another one would be the node pointer for the next node in your chain. Okay, so this would be your basic node structure. Next is we will be adding the add method or function or behavior for your linked list. So let's start doing that, which means we add or we accept a integer value, and then let's start doing this. So new node, then initialize its value to our parameter. Okay, and then let's close this first. Next would be to make sure that our list is if the added item or value would be the first one. Okay, so we need some special condition for that. So for us to proceed, we will be storing our uh, first and last nodes. Okay, so we might have forgotten something, so we need to have, or we need to hold data for our first and last node. Let's call it, declare these internal fields called name, name first and last, and then initialize as null values or empty. Then let's head back to our add method, and then let's check if our first and last are empty, and then we will be setting our first and last to the node, okay, that we just created. And then for our first node, we will set the next value to the last, since they are pointing to the same uh, thing. Okay. Okay. So now we have that, and then we'll just return. If it isn't the first, or our first and last nodes aren't empty, then we just set the last dot next, or the last node, to the node that we just created or added. All right. So I hope you can follow the logic for this add method. And so yeah, let's test out our method if it works. So here we have to declare our linked list, linked list, right? Then let's add a few items to it. One, and add two. My machine is a bit slow. I hope it's not because of our screen recording uh, application. Okay, so now we have that. And then let's just try running this, see if it works. Yeah, it's building right now, and let's see if there's no error. It's quite slow. Is this probably because of OBS? I'm not so sure. All right, now we have our console app running. Let's just see. Okay, now the program just ended. We have no output as of the moment, since we aren't doing something to display our output of our linked list. Okay, but so far it's probably working fine, since we have no errors when we run this application. Okay, so now we will we probably is missing something. Okay, so we want to see the contents of our list, right? So let's add a print method so that we can see the contents of our linked list. Okay, let's add a method called print. Then in our print method inside, let's initialize current node is equal to first node, since we will be uh, traversing our chain of nodes. Okay, we will be using the while loop, right? Okay, so since while current node is not equal to null, then we will just output it to our console. Let's use string interpolation, so give this a shortcut. Okay, value of current node dot value, and then to move on to the next node, we set our current node to current node dot next. Right? So let's try this one out. Let's test it in our main method. It's linked list dot print. Okay, simple as that. Save, and then let's try running this one. Something's wrong. They are all displayed value 1, value 3. Okay, something's wrong with our code. So let us go back here and check out something going on with our here, right line. Okay, Let's try again. Hope this time it works. Nice. But somehow we're missing something. Or we're missing the middle one, which is the two value that we've added here. Okay, let's try and check our add code. Okay, so first code, add node is equal to value. First is equal to null, then add first node, first that next would be the last, and then return, else next that node, last that next is equal to the node. Okay, somehow something wrong with our code. Okay, let's try it. This would actually work. Hmm? So somehow we're skipping adding items or adding values. Let's try. Node would be last, and then last that next would be node. I think we forgot to set the last the node to the new node, right? Okay, let's try this again. And hopefully this time it would work. Great. Now we have printed out the contents of our list. So let's see. We have here, we've added 3 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then, oops, our output also has values 1, 2, 3, and 4. Great. Now, next, we will move into implementing the remove. Okay, so with remove, it allows us to remove an item in our linked list. Okay, so we'll start off with a remove method, then we'll accept a value that will be removed from our list. So first off, we need to take note of the current and the previous nodes, because as we traverse through our nodes, we will be taking note of these values. Okay, so at the start, uh, the current and the previous would be pointing to the first node. All right, next, uh, we will navigate through our nodes using a while loop. Okay, so while the current is not null, then we will go through each end, see if the values would match, or the value that we are trying to remove matches the current value. Okay, so in this case, current dot value is equal to value, and inside of it we will also check if the value matches the value of the first node. Okay, if value is equal to, oops, first that value, right, then we will is happening. Okay, then we will detach the first node, right? We can do that by just setting the current at next, then break. Okay, so the current would be the first night. So the way we detach the first node would be just setting the first node into the next node of the current node. All right. I hope you try to follow because this would be quite a bit confusing. And then next would be if it isn't the first node that is matched, then we will do the setting or detaching of the current node that matched. Okay. Oh, what is wrong with my keyboard? Next. Then we set the current that next to empty, which means that it gets detached from the chain. Then we exit out of our loop. If none of that matches, then we just move to the next node in the chain. So take note of the previous one, and then the current one would be current that next, right? I hope you get to follow the logic of this remove method. Okay. So now we will be trying to test out our code if this works. So let's add line. Let's add a separator. Right line, just to make it clearer. And then here we will do the remove operation. Let's say we will remove item number 3, this one. Let's pass in 3, and then let's add another separator, and then let's try printing out our list if indeed that item has been removed. So let's run this again. Right, so in our first run, we have printed out the contents initially. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at line number 17, we have removed item 3, value 3, and then we printed out again, and then on line 19, and so the output would be 1, 2, and 4. So now the 3 has been removed from our list, right? So let's do another test. Let's try removing the first item. Okay, so in this case, we will remove 1 here. It's only change that we need, and then let's try running. Okay, so now you can see that we have printed out our initial list, values of our list, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have removed item number 1, or the first item on our list at line 17, and then printed it out again, the contents, and now you can see that the values printed out has been in 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1 has been removed or not part of the list anymore. Okay, and then another test that we can do is remove the last item. So let's say we will be removing this 4, this item. Okay, here. Then let's try running again. Okay, and now we can see that indeed value 4, or the last item on our list, has been removed. Now we have only output of value 1, 2, and 3, right? Seems to be working fine so far. And lastly would be testing out if doing multiple remove. Okay, so let's say, let's add here another line. Let's say let's remove, let's just copy this one, remove one item, and then let's just copy this and then print it out, and then we will remove again 4 and then print it out to see the values of our list before and after the remove method. All right, so let's try running again. Okay, so now the output is initially we have values 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then at line 17 we removed 1, and then the output of the print method has 2, 3, and 4, which means the 1 has been removed. And then again at line 20 we have removed 4 and then printed out after that, and then we now have the result 2 and 3. Okay, so it seems that our remove method is working as expected. So yeah, next up would be a little bit harder. This method or behavior is uh, allows us to iterate through our list, or through iterate through each of our nodes. Okay, so because so far we can only print out the values, but we cannot get the actual node values or node data from our list. Okay, and so to do that, first is we need to implement the IEnumerable interface. So IEnumerable is a built-in interface for in C# that allows us to or that allows our class to have an enumerable behavior. Okay, so we do that by uh, inheriting our class from the IEnumerable interface, or implementing the IEnumerable interface, which is passing the, or which is uh, working with the node class. Okay, and then let's implement the interface, implement interface, and then with these interfaces we have two interfaces that we'll have to work with. So we have this public one, the get enumerator, and then this we have this internal get enumerator. So basically with this one first, we just have to return the get enumerator, the public one. Okay, there's not much to it. Okay, next, this would be the actual uh, method that we will be adding code wherein, which allows us to enumerate through the list. Okay, we can use this in our for each loop. Okay, so let's start with the current one, current node, and then again we will use a while loop to traverse through our loop. I mean, to traverse through our chain. Well, not equal to null. Then, so a part of the enumerator implementation for this one is we will use the keyword yield. So with yield, it allows us to send a value back to the caller. Or in this case, if you are using a for each loop, then each time the for each loop traverses your list, the list uh, would send out a value back, and then goes through the uh, list again. Okay, so we will be yielding and returning the current one, or the current node, and then to move to the next node we will set the current node to the current that next, or the next node that it's pointing to. Okay, so code is not that much. Okay, it's quite simple. And so next we will test out if we can iterate or loop through this linked list via a for loop. So let's just clear this one out first and see, and start using for each. We can do for each. Okay, item in linked list, right? So now it's much more convenient to loop through our linked list via for each, right? Then we just, so that right line item that value. Okay, so with the for each loop, every time you go through the items, you will be dealing with a node object. All right, so let's just run this and see if it works. Great, now we have our output of 1, 2, 3, 4, or the contents or the value of our nodes in our list, right? Great. So it seems that our queue is working as expected. If you think we can improve our code or how you would approach the implementation of this, then please let us know in the comment section. And yeah, let's see your ideas. I know there are different or so many ways to implement this one. And then why bother also if you can just have chat GPT just around the corner if you want to have code for implementing a linked list, right? But I hope you have learned something from this. Okay, so we have reached the end of our tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed while learning. Have a wonderful day, and may the code be with you.